Hello, wonderful people. I am hosting a live podcast today. I thought, why not get in front of the camera and bring you all into the conversation? As I was sat there last week thinking, what should I talk about next week? And I thought, yeah, let's just open it up because I haven't done one of these sessions for a long time because, well, dare I say it, I've been working on the book behind the scenes. And so that has been very consuming and very excited though to announce that it is with the formatter. I just got a sample chapter yesterday of how the book is going to look when it's in print. So we are getting there. So it's super exciting. It will be out on the 6th of August. And I have this morning just been working on an event that we are going to host to launch the book. So I know there were lots of people disappointed because they couldn't come to the in-person official launch party on the 16th of August. So on the 6th, 7th and 8th of August, we are going to be throwing a 3-day event to celebrate the launch of the book, but also to host an event that's really super valuable for you. It's all going to be around the topic of your art matters and especially finding your voice as an artist and your purpose. And that's what the book is all about. Find your voice, find your purpose, find your people. And so in that event, we're going to be really looking at those first 2 steps of finding your voice, finding your purpose. And then in September, I'll be running my Make Art Your Living workshops, which is really about finding your people. So over the next 2 months, you're going to get so much content from me. And I can't wait for this event. I really wanted to have the link ready whilst I was doing this live Q&A session today. But I forgot how much goes into setting up a virtual event. There's a lot, all the emails and the tags and all the things. So we will have those links ready for you to sign up for the virtual summit. We're calling it the Your Art Matters Book Launch Summit on the 6th to the 8th of August. It's free to take part. You'll have access to all the replays from the events for 48 hours. There's an option to upgrade if you want to upgrade. But as always, that's an option that you can choose. You can still take part in the event for free. So yay, I'll send you the link later on today. So if you want to take part in that event and celebrate the book and really delve into why your art matters with me, you're very welcome. And I was thinking about this earlier as I was thinking about the reasons why should you bother thinking about why your art matters? Like, why does that matter? And in writing the book, I've been thinking about how I've been unraveling my art and why it matters. And I've just realized so much about myself and my own creativity. And by understanding these parts of what make me curious and what I like to make, I realize that I'm always on this pursuit of discovering this part of myself, why my art matters. And that's what's helped me get to where I am today in terms of writing the book, carving stone, going to art school, running art studios. Like, it's really all of my dots have started to add up because I do this reflection and I really take time to think about where all these pieces connect to each other and the journey of an artist and doing that. So looking at the art that you make and understanding it, and it doesn't have to be like deep analysis, but sometimes, and I've got some people reading the book in the background. Some people have got the book before anybody else. And already they're saying, I'm really just identifying parts of my childhood and things that I'd forgotten. And all of this is really, really important. And especially like when it comes to you making your own art and the direction you take and the relationships between your works. And it gives you that confidence in what you're doing and who you are. When I really understand my own art, it helps me understand more about myself. I've learned so much about myself because of the art that I make. More than I have sat in hours and hours of therapy, not dissing therapy, because I, had a great time in therapy. One of my friends who was my therapist, who, I love the work that she does, but, my art has helped me understand so much. But the other thing as well is in today's world, I see people really struggling on social media and struggling to get noticed because there was lots of noise. And actually, when you take the time to understand why your art matters to yourself and to other people, because we often undervalue that part of the process. We don't actually see or understand how our work can actually impact others. And I was thinking about this and shared a story of this in the book, in fact, where sometimes, your art either sits in a drawer, or you sell it and it's gone off somewhere, and you never actually hear the stories from the people that have seen it and what impact it has actually had on them. This one of the stories in the book was about a lady. I don't want to spoiler alert it too much. Her son was in hospital, and to read the story in the book about the impact the art had on this family, the art that was on the walls of the hospital, I don't think the artist could ever appreciate the profound way their art helped this family in that time of complete and utter need. And this is something I want us all to explore and realize and bring to the surface, because when you are struggling to be seen on social media or to make those connections, quite often it's not about your work, it's about bringing why it matters to the surface, so that you start to kind of bring out the story and the reason for it being and the reason for it mattering, and making people see that. And so I love this topic so much. So I can't wait to share this event with you on the 6th of August, and we're going to dive into this more together, and we're going to do some art vision boarding together. We're going to do some creative projects together, stop, look, listen. Yeah, it's going to be really nice, and I can't wait to just hang out with you all. So, oh, hello, Jacqueline says, I'm late. I'm so sorry. Don't worry. Welcome. So, Simone says, oh, I do. I need to know why, know that my art matters. Yes. And we need reminding, don't we? We need reminding, and I actually have this on my list to talk about today. So this is an open Q&A, by the way. So please just drop any questions. You can ask me anything. I've just left it open. You can literally ask me anything about life or whatever. If I can't answer it, I'll maybe point you in a direction of someone that can. And let's just see where the conversation goes. But first thing on my mind, and this is a kind of question that's coming from other people that I was thinking about earlier, but also as it relates to myself, was what to do when you have kind of, it's like when you've created work and it's really personal. I think there's two parts to what I'm about to say. It's when you've created work and it's really personal, and I'm going through this now with the book, and you will know as an artist, because I've done this in the past, that when I created a collection of artwork and I literally did pour my heart and soul into those pieces that I created that were going into a show. And when you're, I don't know, it might be different for you, but when I create, I get very immersed. And it's a very solitude practice for me. I will kind of disappear into a hole and get completely engrossed what I'm doing, and I might come up to the surface and share, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, and then I disappear again. And that's how I work. And so when I was creating those pieces years ago and I put them into the show, it was really hard then to release it out into the world. And I think a lot of you here will feel that. And sometimes I think the more personal and engrossed you are in the work, this is definitely how it is for me. I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know. It makes us more vulnerable. And I would like to know if there's anybody out there that actually, the more personal you make your art, the more you feel like it's you and you can't wait to get it out there. I definitely don't feel like that. For me, I think the more personal kind of emotion I put into my work, the scarier that is then to share. And that just might be my own vulnerability, because then we care more, I care deeply about that work that I'm putting out into the world, and that makes me feel vulnerable. And it's interesting because when I look back at whether it's art, writing, the moments before sharing it with the world, um, I have all these crazy thoughts about, I don't want to do this anymore. I shared this so many times and it still happens. We literally had this conversation in the team yesterday because I was getting ready to share the book for the first time with a group of people, the launch team. Thank you so much. If any of you are watching right now. And I literally, the day that it went out to them, I sometimes can't believe I even have these thoughts, but I literally sat there thinking, I don't want to run United Art Space anymore. And it's laughable because I've had these thoughts on and off for 8 years, and I know that it's not real. Of course I want to. I love it. And I literally sat there. Gosh, it was so crazy. I can't even really recollect the exact thoughts I had, but it was around, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I might have almost thought, like, shall I just scrap the book? And I think it was when I thought that one, I was like, hold on a minute, who's taken over my brain? And it's really interesting because I am more aware of it now. And it's because the work is so personal. It's so personal and it's really frightening to put it out into the world. Anyway, so when I felt that yesterday, it got me thinking about the times that art has been really scary to put out in the world. Not even, when I say out in the world, I mean, it might just be to a few people. When I had my show, there was quite a lot of people at the show, and I remember being absolutely, oh, I can't tell you the anxiousness I felt having that work on the wall. I wasn't elated and happy. I was terrified and I felt sick. And even I thought about this the other day, even with some pieces that I have really liked, and then I've shared them with my friend Sharon, who Sharon and I have a great relationship. We're so open with each other. But I remember when I carved a piece of stone, and she's a sculptor. And I remember sharing one of the pieces with Sharon, and I was actually really terrified to share it with her. And I guess one reason was that I thought she might pick fault with it, and then I loved it so much, I kind of didn't want to hear anything bad about it. I just was so in love with that piece. I thought I can't hear anything bad now because it's just going to shatter everything I feel about it. So la 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 la. But also, I think, I don't know. It's just, again, when something is so personal and you care, um, it's frightening, isn't it? And I can take criticism. If Sharon had turned around to me and said, I like this, you could have maybe have done this, I would have taken that. And I know that deep down, but yet I still had this really, really weird anxiousness. And funnily, Sharon has illustrated my book. So in the book, there will be some illustrations from my friend Sharon. And it was a couple of weeks ago now, we sat down on that sofa behind me. For those who can see, if you're listening, there's a blue sofa behind me. And we sat down on the sofa, and I said, right, okay, have you got the illustrations? she said, yeah, but I don't think we should use any of them. They're all rubbish. I'm not an illustrator, and I just don't think this is a good idea. And I was like, oh my gosh, right, we've got 2 weeks now to find someone else and turn this around. I didn't say that to her. That's what I was thinking inside. And it's funny because Sharon was going through the same process of sharing. Sharon had read the book and doodled some of her drawings as she was reading. And then I sat there turning the pages, looking at her drawings, and she said she was just sitting there going, oh, this is really weird. This is really strange. You sitting there looking at these. I'm not used to this, because Sharon's used to just putting her work out into the world. It goes off and does its thing. And then so here I am looking at her drawings, and it was so interesting to see that part of Sharon too, which I never thought I'd see. And it really got me thinking about how we as creatives can be impacted by that, of sharing, and especially to people we care about too. So if you care about the work and you're sharing it with someone you care about, it's like a double whammy of concern, and like a not on the surface concerned, but there's something inside going, this is strange. And so I just wanted to talk about that and acknowledge that as just being something that happens, and being aware of it, because now when I put work out into the world, you don't want to let those parts of you stop you from sharing it with others. Of course, you don't have to share your work with others, but from what I've just described now, in terms of sharing that sculpture with Sharon, and her sharing her drawings with me, and me sharing the book, and then that work in that show, as terrifying as it was, I've grown so much as a person, and I have got so much from sharing it. And this is why I want to write the book, which is Find Your Voice, Find Your Purpose, Find Your People. Because in my own life, making art and then finding people around me to share that experience with, and to share the process with, and the art with, has made me see the world in a completely different way. It's helped me see my art in a completely different way. I can't even describe now, so you have to go and read the book, the profound impact it's had on my life and understanding. So I'd love to know. So Juliet says here, my lack of formal training in any of what brings me joy makes me sensitive to any criticism. Yes, I understand that, Juliet, because I once didn't have an education, and I felt so vulnerable um, to that kind of criticism. I had a massive chip on my shoulder too. And then even when I now do have the art qualification and I got my degree, I think I still do feel sensitive too about it. But this is what's great, Juliet, is knowing that, so that you can enter these situations with, okay, I'm going to feel vulnerable here. I'm putting my work out into the world. I know this is going to make me feel off, because I know it's because I haven't got any formal training. And I think just knowing that, Juliet, is such a gift, because it means that you don't stop yourself. So this is a great point, actually, is when you feel that you are stopping yourself, if you can kind of unravel where that defensiveness or insecurity or concern comes from, then you can reassure that part of yourself that it's okay, it's fine. Because for me, I just thought, even if Sharon does criticize this piece, not that she goes around criticizing, but I mean, maybe the constructive criticism, then I can take it, I can handle it. So the other thing that was on my mind that kind of links with this in a way is that, so how am I going to explain this one? There was another part of me for years, and I still do this sometimes, that, okay, when I create art, and this isn't me kind of being down on myself, it is an observation that there are parts of my art making, for example, that I struggle with. Oh, here's a great example, like drawing. So um, if I draw, I usually draw from an elevated perspective. So by that, I mean, if I'm drawing a scene in front of me, I will literally look like a bird hovering over the top of it. And I have done so many courses in angles and perspective and all the things, and I still can't do it the way it's supposed to be. And for a long time, I, as an artist as well, and especially when I was going through art school, for a long time, I had this preconceived or misconception that to be an artist, I should be able to figure out perspective. To be an artist, I should be able to sit in front of the person opposite me and draw them, which is what happened to me once when I said that I was an artist, and I sat next to this guy, and he handed me a paper, pencil and paper, and said, okay, draw me. And I was like, and that actually knocked my confidence years ago when that happened. Now I understand. I'm like, oh, of course, I'm not that type of artist. But there was a lot of these situations, especially through art school for me, because I guess there were a lot of people at art school that could turn their hands to anything. They could just sit and draw the person opposite them. They could just sit down. Sharon's this person, actually. She's so great. She can literally pick up a piece of clay, make something out of it, draw the person opposite, draw buildings, anything. And I've never been that way. And in fact, actually, when I look back at art school now, I still felt like I never found my thing. I kind of did a bit of sculpting, clay, textiles, printmaking, then I painted, and I kind of feel like I never really excelled. I was just like okay at all of them. And so for a long time, that dented my confidence because I felt like, well, surely there should be something that I really excel at, or you know, I should be able to do perspective. I've been trying now for years. Why can't I do perspective? Right, I'm obviously a rubbish artist, and so that all went through my head for a long time. And actually, it was starting United Art Space. It was starting United Art Space that helped me see and learn the beauty in being a creative, and actually understanding that everything that I create is part of who I am. And yes, I could probably spend 30 hours a day learning perspective, and if I did it every day for a year, I'd probably nail it. But actually, isn't there something interesting about how, even though I've been taught it, my brain still won't allow that? And isn't that interesting? That's fun, actually. So now when I draw these things, I kind of laugh along and actually embrace that part of myself, that kind of wonkiness where I can't get the angles in the right way, and how interesting that is that my brain sees it like that. And let's not try and change it. I've got to this age now. Let's just go with it, Michelle. And that's just so amazing. And that's the whole thing about Your Art Matters. It's really about understanding who you are, what makes you you, and having a go at something, having a go at perspective. And then you realize, I don't think I'm meant to do it that way. I think I'm meant to do it upside down. And who cares what anyone thinks? Let's do it that way. Let me do it upside down and back to front. And so another example of this, and then please do send me some questions, because otherwise I will sit here for the full hour just talking about my own experiences. Is when I've been writing recently, this is a funny little one. I'm going to just be honest. So when I started United Art Space, I share a lot of inspirational quotes, and someone once said to me, why don't you just share your own quotes instead of other people's quotes? And I said, well, I like other people's quotes. And then that comment sat with me, and I thought, why don't I share my own quotes? And it's an interesting one, and I've pondered it for a while. And actually, it did, I don't say it, not my confidence, but it was there as a, like Juliet was saying, when you've got this bit of a thing on your shoulder, like, oh, why aren't I writing my own quotes? Because I know I've got my own content. I've been speaking for 8 years. Why is that? Why do I share other people's things? And then so I went through this phase of attempting to kind of pull out some quotes from things that I'd said, and I just don't like them. So recently I have started to write little post-it note messages, because everyone knows I love a post-it note. So I've started to write little post-it note messages, and even those I keep writing them, and then I just throw them away and scrap them. I'm like, it just doesn't sound right. So to cut a long story short, what I've realized is that that's just the way I am wired. And actually, I do find it difficult to pull out little parts of my writing, and I always have done, because I have dyslexia. I do struggle with words. And so that thing about having my own quotes, I know I've got my own quotes. They're in my words. If you go and look through all my transcripts from the last 8 years, I've got thousands of quotes and things that I've said. I know I have. And so it's just accepting that that's just not me. Pulling that out of my own wording isn't me. And so anyway, so I've been going back to these post-it notes and writing little messages, and that I'm warming up to that now, kind of like that. But anyway, it got me thinking again about how this can relate to our creativity, art making, writing, whatever it is for you. That sometimes someone might say something, or you might feel a little bit insecure because of the way you do something, or because of the way you're not doing something. And when you sit with it for a while and then you start to embrace it and understand it and go, actually, no, I don't want to sit across the table and just draw somebody, because that's not me. And that's okay. And I'm still an artist. It's just so liberating. And as I'm saying this now, I feel like, yes, I'm an artist. I am an artist in my own way. And like, you don't have to shape me, mold me. I can do that myself. And there's just something so amazing when we live in this life and we've got one life to accept those parts of ourselves. And do you know, I do think a lot of this is, well, for me anyway, down to other people's opinions. Sometimes it's what we're faced with externally that gets us to question ourselves. We start to doubt the direction we're taking or the way we're doing something because someone else on social media is delivering their art in this way. Gosh, does that mean I'm rubbish? Does that mean I can't, should I be doing this at all? And I do think a lot of it is because of what's around us, definitely. There we go. Chris has pulled out one of my quotes. I'm going to go write that on a post-it note and I'm going to go and share. So, okay, this is a great question. How can we find people who connect to how we do art? It's all in the book. I can't wait to share it with you. The whole book that comes out on the 6th of August is that. It's how you connect to people. I give you step-by-steps. I even give you templates of how to actually go out and speak to people, how to link your work to other people. It's all in the book. Thank you for asking that question. I couldn't have done a pitch better to the book. It's out on the 6th of August. Julia is here with us. Oh, wow. So let me just read this one. The sun warms up in the earth here after a very heavy rainfall while the birds sing to the birth of a new day in Trinidad. Oh my gosh, what a lovely, lovely message. Thank you. We've got Carl tuning in from Vancouver. I was there a few years ago. Cecilia's tuning in from Rome. Karen's tuning in from England. Happy to say the skies are blue. Lisa's with us. Chris, Simone, hello. Cloud's words, Kate, Kat, Cecilia's with us, Sarah's with us. Oh, Cecilia says, thank you, Michelle. This is so precious. I'm so very sorry not to be there in person. Oh, no, I understand. We can all celebrate together on the 6th of August. So, yes, Cecilia says, our art matters because it's an act of giving on many levels. And this is a good one because, when I've been going through the book and writing it, there's this push-pull between what we share and what we don't share, and the parts of ourselves that we want to share and don't share, and do we have to share it at all? And my belief is, and that's what I've put across in the book, is that the more you kind of understand this part of yourself, the more you kind of tune into your own intuition and what feels right. Again, it's getting away from the external expectations and opinions and really internalizing what it is that you want, what feels right for you. But in creating artwork and sharing it, and what I love is that a friend of mine, Steve McDermott, who is an amazing author, he's a motivational speaker, and he read the book in the very early stages when I was still shaping what the book was going to be. And he likes to make art in his spare time. And he makes art and gives it to his family. So he did 3 paintings last year and gave them to his children for Christmas. And then when I went to his house this year, to have a chat with him about the book. He's got this little studio in his spare bedroom, and he's showing me this painting that he's working on. And so he's always just made it just to give to people, it's just a thing on the side. And he said, after I read your book, it's really made me understand and appreciate the difference that actually sharing it with others can have. And he said, now I feel that I'm going to take that step, that I'm going to actually make this art and probably put like a little show on in my local area to share it with people. He said, and I've never ever, I know this sounds crazy, he said, I've never ever thought of myself being able to do that because I made them for gifts. But he said, now I can see that actually part of the process is the sharing, is making it, and then seeing somebody else's reaction or hearing somebody else's interpretation or hearing someone else saying, oh, that's great. What about if you made this part blue? Or seeing someone move to tears. He said, one of my paintings I gave to my son and his daughter, his sister. No, sorry. My son and his wife. What my brain was trying to say at the same time was it was Steve's daughter-in-law. So both those words were trying to come out, wife and daughter, at the same time. Does anybody else's brain try and do that? Kind of say two words at exactly the same time. She was, she had a tear in her eye, and he said that's made me see, wow, that my art can move people like that. That's crazy. And actually, then when we do share it, like I said, that finding my friend Sharon in amongst this art journey of mine and the deep relationship we have now in terms of our creativity and sharing why we make and what Sharon's making and why you're doing it that way. And it's really, really helped me understand a lot about myself. So that part of sharing, I think, like you say, Cecilia, the act of giving on so many levels. And yeah, we forget that sometimes, I think, when we're posting on social media, and it just feels like nothing's happening. You don't get any likes, there's no one engaging with it, but you actually don't know whether somebody saw your artwork today and cried. Who's going to kind of share that with you and say, by the way, your artwork just made me cry? No, it just wouldn't happen. And so a lot of the time people are interacting with your art in some way and they're not sharing it. And I would probably say 99.9% of the time, I don't know, maybe that's a bit high, but a lot of the time, people aren't sharing the true feeling that they had when they saw your art. So yeah, I love this. Lisa says, yeah, by exploring why my art matters, I found myself as 100% for me too, Lisa, in that I share this in the book, that when I started writing the book about Your Art Matters, I thought I understood why my art mattered, but when I started writing the book, I unraveled so much more about myself, my past, why certain artworks were made at certain times, and it's just made me feel more confident. It's made me feel more excited about what I'm doing and what I'm sharing. And I feel like I've peeled layers off my onion by taking the time to delve into this topic, for sure. So Juliet says, yes, the solitude practice. Oh, Robin, thank you for your lovely comments. It's so nice to be here with you all. Carl says, I was once told, make 3 pieces when you make art, 2 for the world and 1 for yourself. Oh, I love that. I love that because I like that idea for writing too. When you write, just write some things just for yourself, and some things, I'm going to do that with the post-it notes. I'm going to kind of write out of every 3, write 2 for everyone else and 1 for myself. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, Carl. I'm just like totally geeking out here. You get it. Yeah, Cecilia says it's like showing some kind of nudity. Yeah, and that of course makes us very vulnerable. It's like being naked in a hall full of dressed up people. It is. And do you know what, Cecilia, it's funny you should say that, because the work that I did put in front of people were nudes as well. And so I had that double whammy of not only being scared of putting my art out in the world, but it was the first time. Do you know what? That work that I showed, these big, huge pieces, what I realized, I think, is before that, it took me a long time to make art that was actually pure and me. And I still don't know actually whether I have done that, to be honest. Hands up here, let me know in the chat. Do you really feel that if you took away all the people who would ever see your artwork, all the fear, all the, take everything away, what art would you really be making? And it might be the art that you're making now. You might think, well, yeah, I'm totally happy doing what I'm doing. For me, I feel that there is still an untapped part of my creativity that I have not let rip. And if I'm being honest, and I don't know what it is, and I know it will come. So it's not like I'm like, oh gosh, I trust the process now. I know it's there though. I can feel it inside of me. I feel that there's some work that is yet to be done. And um and I maybe it's just not time yet. But when I look back at the work that I made in my early days, it was definitely work trying to please people. Definitely, I was trying to stick to representational so that people just got what I was doing. I was really honing like life drawing skills because I wanted to impress people with, my gosh, you can draw a person. And I will admit that there was an ego part of me for sure that really, really craved um, that validation. And I talk about this in the book actually, where all that came from for me. But and so then as I was going through art school towards the end, and these were the pieces that I put into a show, that artwork for me was probably my most pure to date. And they were nudes, and so it terrified me. It terrified me that I was going to be inviting my whole family to see these nudes because they don't get it. They don't get art. And actually, my dad didn't realize they were nudes because the pieces that I made they were huge. And when you get close up to them, they look completely abstract. They look like all patterns. And it's only when you kind of really step back that you see the form. That was the whole point of them. But if you take a photograph of them, you'll know this. You take a photograph, then you could see the form appear. So it wasn't until the next day and he looked at them and he went, hold on a minute, is that a boob? I was like, yes. But anyway, so yeah, talking about this is a good thing too, because I think there's potentially a part of all of us maybe that would like to push the boundaries a bit more, would like to kind of create some art that people maybe just don't understand them. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I was in the car. I don't know where this thought came from, but I was thinking about Edvard Munch and how when I studied his work at art school, it's widely talked about that, his pieces, especially The Sick Child, which is a depiction of his sister in her dying days. It's quite morbid and disturbing. And he painted her in a way that was diffused and the hand was not defined. And I have read somewhere, and I don't know if there's any truth in this, that he painted a series of his sister in that way, The Sick Child, because he recalled seeing that view through teary eyes. And so she wasn't clearly defined, and it wasn't about that. That really stuck with me. Anyway, he got absolutely slated in the press for his lack of definition. And I think one critic said that the hand looked like a lobster. So how elitist. Oh, you can't get any more elitist. It looks like a lobster. Oh. and and yeah, and I just thought, wow, how brave, when we've just been talking about how scary it can be. And imagine being that artist, Edvard Munch, all those centuries ago, knowing that you have a voice and a way of making art that's not going to land well at all because people want the classic. And he was creating in a time that it was not acceptable. It was not accepted. And you would be banished out of the academy and criticized in the press. And to have the courage to still paint in that way and go, this is my way. I just think a lot of people now talk about, oh, it was a shame because he didn't make any money when he was alive. And yeah, that is a shame. Yeah. But that isn't the point, is it? The point is he revolutionized art in that moment, and he created art in his way, despite all the odds against him. How incredible is that? That he was able to push through and do that. And I know he was a very troubled soul, but that to me is a gift, that he found his voice and he pushed through. So, and in today's world, I was thinking about this, how it is much more liberated and liberating, but still we're living in times that are very opinionated. So although there's more room to express ourselves in different ways, and that is more accepted nowadays, especially by critics, but yet now we have this pool of people in social media who are literally scrolling, trying to find the next person to criticize. And that can make us feel very vulnerable. So now all of a sudden we've got this massive, group of people just waiting. I know that when I put my book out into the world, and I've had to do lots of mental preparation for this, I know that when I put my book into the world, there'll be people so excited to give me a bad review because they just, oh, it's sad, isn't it? But this is the world we live in. So I think if you can again tap into this, this is why again I'm a fan of this phrase, your art matters, because when you really tune into why your art matters and why you matter, and that this is your voice and you own that part of yourself, then you put that work in the world and you let it do its thing with this acceptance, and still scared, of course, but knowing that that's me, that's a part of me. And yeah, these people might say something like they did to Edvard Munch and all the other artists that have ever lived. And they will always be there, won't they, saying these things? But you are doing something brave and courageous, and that's amazing. So let's get naked in the hall full of dressed up people. It's the moral of the story. Cecilia, thank you for sending me on that massive tangent. I'm glad I had your comment on the screen, because I totally thought, where did this one come from? But thank you, that was a great comment. Yam Yam's in the house. So I have a group of people who are reading the book, the launch team, and obviously Your Art Matters, Yam. I'm from West Bromwich in the UK, and they're known as Yam Yams because they say Yam alright, Yam alright. I can't even do the accent. I'm from there. So we've called the group Yam Yams, and I appreciate you all. So yes, Carl says you should just make your own art and not worry about it. Absolutely. Turn that into a post-it note. Carl says, yeah, and once you do shows and sell work, it gets easier and easier. Absolutely. It does. It gets easier and easier until you do that new work. And this is what I have found recently with the book. I've been fine putting my work out into the world. And as soon as it's something different and more personal, and it's got a bit more of an edge, and there's more of myself in it, whoa. And that's, Carl, is a great point, actually, because it gets easier and easier. And then all of a sudden, if you change direction or you change the process and it's more personal, it can take you by surprise, because you might start telling yourself ridiculous stories about, I don't want to be an artist anymore, I don't want to do this work. But it's really because there's something on inside scared to get that out into the world. because you're scared about how it's going to be perceived, or don't want anyone to say anything bad about it, because I just love this work so much. So yeah, it's all about coming back to self-awareness, really. I think that's been the biggest thing for me in all of this, is having that self-awareness to to take the steps forward despite those feelings. And on my post-it note wall is massive, just stop thinking and just do it. I just, every time I start thinking about, oh, what if someone says anything bad, just stop, just get the book out in the world, you know. And you can say the same for your art. Stop, just get it out in the world. Oh, Carl, you are a rare case here. I know I've met some people that like the critique sessions. Mine, I didn't. I used to run away and hide in the bathrooms when it was time for critique, because they were brutal. And this is a really good point, Carl. I love that you've shared that that was your favorite part, because I think it all depends on the individual and how ready they are to hear constructive criticism, or just criticism, blatant criticism that I don't like it, I don't like what you've done here. That's what we used to receive at school. It was like, just don't like it, you're just off the mark. And I wasn't ready to hear that. And I wasn't, because, and I think I look back now and I was very vulnerable, and I think because my art was definitely a therapy, so it was very raw. And so for me, it was hard to hear any kind of feedback that wasn't amazing. I just want to hear the good stuff. But now I don't feel like that. Now I do appreciate. I must say that there's still times I have to be in the right headspace. I have to be in the right headspace to hear it. That's what I've learned about myself. Otherwise, I can get defensive, and I can get maybe derailed by other people's opinions too. So I have to be kind of ready for it. Yeah. But I love that you've had a really good experience, because that's how it should be, Carl, with the critique, shouldn't it? It should be people giving their view and saying, I see it like this, and maybe this should be different. And that's really valuable when people give you a view of why didn't you do it like this, and challenge you a little bit. And ask you some awkward questions that make you go, oh, well, I don't know, why didn't I do it like that? And that's what Sharon's good at doing with me. And it really does make you think. And I've asked some of those questions in the book. They might make you feel uncomfortable. Chris says, yeah, about the pieces that make us feel vulnerable, I find that those pieces are the ones that connect the most with others, the ones that others gravitate to the most. Creating is vulnerability. It's an offering, first back to creator and then to the rest of creation. It's like a conversation. Oh, I like that. It's a conversation. When we make it, we converse with our creator, and when we share it, we open up conversation with others. Yes. And then there's also a quote in the book, which is who was it? Can't remember who said this now. But art is like a mirror into the soul. So in you sharing your art, you help people see themselves in your art. And this is really true. And it doesn't even matter whether they like the art or not. Because if you think about it for a minute, if you create an artwork, and I'm just going to say this one because I don't want to offend anybody who creates something in particular. So I'm just going to do a line on a piece of paper. Just say that is your art. You've created a line on a piece of paper. And some people will go, wow, I love the simplicity of that. I might have like a Japanese tea house, and they just want a simple line, because it's all about space and it's about quiet, and that represents the journey. Or and then there's going to be someone else who just goes, that's a ridiculous piece of art. I mean, that's crazy, I could do that. I mean, what does that mean? It's just a line on a piece of paper, and it's still a conversation, and that is still somebody reacting to your work in some way, and it says more about them than it does about your art most of the time, because it's whatever reaction someone has to your art, that's about them. And that's why art is so amazing, because you're waking things up inside of people, whether it's good, bad, shocking, happy, sad. Um, and they might see that line and be repulsed and think that's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe that we're going to call that art. And then 2 years later, they could be chanting and humming in the tea house, looking at a line art, thinking, "This is the best thing I've ever bought." You know, we've also got to remember that people change and tastes change. And when we view art, that will change with us too. And so we might see art there, and now we get it years on. This is the great thing about art and life, isn't it? Oh gosh, I've missed these conversations with you all. I really, really have. Simone says, when I get the nerves about my work, I think, good, it means I'm challenging myself. Yes. Oh, Kat, thank you. Kat says, I moved house. This is a different cat. This is Kate, sorry. I moved house 4 years ago and I've been renovating. I've just unpacked all my artwork as we created an art space to put it in and work in. And I was looking forward to seeing it all again. But as I unpacked it, I hated it all. I'm stuck in a place now. I've been really disappointed and thinking I'm rubbish and I shouldn't do it anymore. I know I'll move on, but at the moment it's really tough. I have no formal training either, but I've enjoyed painting for years. I'm sure that you've got lots of comments below. If anybody can give any love to Kate, please do. And so this is a good question. And so I think, Kate, for me, do you know what? I felt the same about my artwork. So I unpacked a lot of my artwork from art school days. And when I looked at it all, and especially these pieces behind me, which are my pieces, I hated them, hated that one there. And when I look back through all my portfolios, I just thought, this is just a load of rubbish. It's all really flat. It doesn't have any, I just felt like it didn't have any personality either. And I didn't like that work for a long time. But then recently, when I've started to write the book and understand why my art matters and understand those parts of myself and why I made those pieces at that time, I've now started to see different aspects of my work that I didn't see before. And I also have a different relationship now with viewing my artwork, rather than seeing it as a whole and dissecting it and going, oh, I should have put this bit here and this bit shouldn't have gone here. And look at the join there. It's so terrible. And my granddad, I couldn't get over these shadings because I didn't gradiate them. And I was so upset with myself for giving the painting like that. Now I don't see that. Now I see, this is amazing. This is amazing. It's not just about seeing it as being amazing. What I see now is myself. There was that, how many years ago that painting was? That was me at that point, and that was, the shading was me then. And I've accepted that. That was me then at that point. I'd probably do it differently now. But it's accepting that when we made that piece, that was it at that point, that was it at that time. And that is like a visual diary. That is a part of you that exists. And then and so going back to not being happy about it, again, you could look at the art in 2 years and you'll fall in love with it. If you're not liking it at the moment, here's my advice. One, you can either ask yourself, why don't I love this? Why? Is it because of the way it looks? Is it because it doesn't feel like you? So it might be something there to go, actually, I want to make art completely different. I don't want to do painting. I want to sculpt. There might be something in it that directs you now to something else. So first of all, ask the question of, why don't I like it? And then if nothing's coming, just put it away, and focus on now. Focus on now, who you are today, and doodle and just do things that don't have any particular meaning or expectation on what they need to look like. Just do it. Just doodle, paint, whatever. I just did a painting the other day. It's a load of rubbish. It's in the it's in the art room, and it's got, if you're going to critique it, it's got I mean, there's nothing going really that right for it, but it felt great. I felt great just putting a load of random colours that don't work, that all clash. It's all tonal value. Like there's no different tonal values. It's all just one big mess. It feels good. So I'd go back to what feels good, Kate. And congratulations on moving house. Let me just see. I've got a few more minutes left. And if I haven't got to any of your questions, I will come back to the chat and have a look. Cecilia says, we ADHD can only thrive on what interests us. We obviously find perspective boring. Carl says, now I changed to storyboard artist and still sell 40 paintings a year, age 56. Yes, go, Carl. I'm so happy. That's brilliant. Sue says, I'm struggling to get my art printed. Can you use your phone to take photos and send to the printers? You can. You know, there are really, really good phones nowadays with amazing cameras on them. The main thing is the lighting. So you want to make sure that you've got really good lighting, no shadows, and a good representation of the colour. So, which, mind you, if you're getting them printed and you're selling them as prints, colour matching might not be, you know, 100% what you want to kind of replicate. So the main thing there would be the quality. So you can do that, or you can find a local photographer who can take the photographs of the work for you, or you can go to a printer and get them scanned. But have a go at taking the photos yourself and then take them to a printer and say, I've taken these, what do you think? If you're a hub member, and you said hub member, if you're a member of United Art Space, we've got a members hub. There is training in there on how to photograph your work. So post-it note quotes, yeah, absolutely. I love this. Chris says, yeah, I always want to draw better because I love to make marks, not because I want others to think I'm the best drawer. Acceptance, embracing our uniqueness as part of our process resonates through the work. Yeah. Carl says, life throws you curveballs, accept it, move on. Being an artist is a blessing, saved my life. Oh, I feel the same, Carl. Laura says here, I bet even Oscar Wilde wouldn't have been able to pick out which of his own quotes would catch on. Yeah, it's such a good point, Laura. That is such a good point. Oh my gosh, Juliet says it's literally saving my life after breaking both wrists. Literally. Oh my gosh. Sending you lots of love. Ouch. Oh my gosh. Right, okay, I'm going to quickly skim through now. Oh, Lauren, it's good to see you here. It's all in the book, yeah. You know that's going to be my answer to everything now. Oh, Judith says, I seem to be giving away my pieces, not selling. Yeah, that's something we teach inside the hub is how to sell. And in fact, Juliet, if that's your problem, on the 1st of September, which I know is quite a while, but we've got a Make Art Your Living workshop, or I run it every year, and that's about selling your art. It's about taking those steps to selling. So you might want to join that. Thank you, Lisa, for the quote. You matter, art matters, your art matters. Yes. See, I do have them. Oh gosh, Juliet says here, I shared a photo of a personal piece with whom I thought was a good friend, and she had an anger outburst. Again, that just shows it's not your work. That's not your work. It's them. It's them. So, and I think when you realise that, like, so I know with the book, of course, you know, sometimes with some things, no, it is all about the other person. Because I was just going to say, you know, there are some books I've read, and you can tell they've just like ChatGPT'd the book and stuck it into a book and sold it. So my reaction there is, you've just ChatGPT, you know, GP'd that. And I could have Googled it, but still that is my reaction, because there could be somebody out there in the world that actually bought that book and thought, thank you so much for ChatGPT. I can't even say it. AI, by the way. That's just what I needed. So interesting, isn't it? How, you know, does that mean then that book shouldn't exist because they did it that way? Because I don't like it? Well, no, because there could be two people in the world that just needed that book right at the point of that coming out. And maybe 99% of the people saw that it was just copied, but those 2, 3 people don't actually care. They needed it. They needed that work. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently, just because the majority of people don't like something doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. Well, no, because there's probably people out there that do like it. So again, it is all about the way we react to something. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist. So, oh, I love this. We're going deep now. We're going deep just as we're wrapping up. um, what kind of honest art would I make? Sent a shiver down my back. That comes from Chris. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you so much. I'm just going to. Um, oh, I love this one. I nearly took this one out for some reason. You and I have nothing to prove. Yeah, Lisa's one of my yam yams. um, oh yeah, so Jacqueline says here, my daughter told me that my artwork was something anyone could do. How do you interpret that? Well, yeah, and that's the thing. But I mean, no art is unique, is it? And most of us could do the art. I've gone around galleries and I thought I could do that. I might have thought that a million times, but I didn't do it because. And this is why understanding why your art matters is so important because, and again, this is what I talk about in the book, because it isn't just about the artwork, it's about the artist and why was that made? Because you can have 10 pieces all the same and what makes them different is the artist. And so, at the end of the day, let me just read. It was like it was something that anyone could do, but that's the same with any art. Like how many people have replicated famous artists, but at the end of the day, they weren't the ones that did it because in the context and in the time and understanding why it mattered and getting it in front of the right people, that's why it mattered. Like that book, like anyone could go and chat GPT a book right now and put it out into the world. But yet that particular writer, and I'm not going to mention their name, did so, and anyone could do it, but they constructed something, they've answered a question and someone probably needed it. And so it's all about context and doing things in the right place with the right people, which is why I'm a fan of find your people, because when you find your people, they will get your work, they'll get it, and they understand it, and they don't care if there's 10 people here doing the same as you, because they want your work. So that's what I think to that. Oh, just don't want to go. Oh, Juliet says thank you for having these podcasts. Hopefully they'll will be here for you again in September. Yes, well, yeah, let's go to. Well, I have got a plan of doing a 24-hour live session. Oh, Robin says I'm ready to create something massive. Hell, I'm 66. Go, Robin. Yes. Okay, if I've missed any questions, I will come back. And so, yes, on the 6th of August, the book comes out and we're going to have the Your Art Matters Summit, the official virtual book launch. We're going to be doing a fun 3-day session together. I'm doing like loads of talks. I think I'm doing like 9 talks over 3 days because I'm all or nothing. I don't know how to do things on a small scale. So we're going to be doing lots of fun things together. There's going to be talks from the artists and art demos. 3 full days I'm doing of this all day because this is what I love. So I was hoping to have the link ready for you to sign up, but it'll be ready in the next couple of hours. I'm just off to go and do that now. So I'll send you an email out. Check out your emails and you can join that event for free. That starts 6th, 7th, 8th of August. If you want to hang out and chat art all day long, we'll be here. Your Art Matters is the name of the book, Your Art Matters. So, yay! Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.